Good evening, everybody. This is Cap'n Tinsley, saltyabandon, with the Salty Podcast number 6. And tonight we have a very special guest. His name is Rick Zern of Zern Rigging. He is the guy in this area. I'm going to bring him out right now. Good
Hi,
evening, Rick. How
Tinsley.
are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I thank you for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it. Um, I want to get one thing out of the way, a little bit of housekeeping, and to introduce tonight's sponsor, me. I'm Tinsley Myrick, Remax of Orange Beach. If you have any interest in property in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, I'm your gal. I am my husband and I are the Myrick team here on the Gulf Coast, and we've sold over 1,300 plus condos on the beach. So okay, so we got that out of the way.
How do we become sponsors?
Sponsors of I don't know. Oh, that's a good question. Oh goodness. Okay, we'll have to talk about that.
Yes, we will.
All right. My first question for you before we get into the rigging stuff is to ask you how long you've been sailing.
Um, I started when I was about 11, and now that I'm 36, it's only been a few years.
Only been a few
I'm
years.
not.
Okay.
I'm not 36.
I know. All right. So from 8 until whatever age you are now.
11 to 67.
Okay. And have you always lived here?
No, I was a military brat, but when we got to
Okay.
Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach, we were fortunate enough to stay in that area.
Okay. And so yeah, so now you're in Pensacola, obviously. Okay. Please tell us just a short version, because we're going to talk about details later. A short version of what you do and how long that you've had the business.
I started out as a sail maker, and back then in the mid 70s, 80s, 90s, sail makers were the riggers as well. And so we made sails, we provided rigging for boats, um, hardware, things like that. And then by the mid 90s, the rigging business became able to stand on itself. And then we went full time into rigging at that time.
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you think it's split like that? I didn't know that.
I mean, just more boats, and we were specializing in rigging rather than just sails, and so I got out of sail making and then went full time into rigging at that time.
Okay. So tell us the different things that you do. I did pull up your website, and let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay, so under services at zernrigging.com, we've got furling systems, mast repair and replacement, standing rigging replacement, and how do you say that word?
Swedging.
Swedging.
That's where we
Okay.
put the terminals on the ends of the wires.
Okay.
And that's, in fact, we have a new machine that's going to be coming in February of 2024. That'll give us the capability to install terminal fittings on up to 7/8 inch wire, which right now we can go up to 7/16 inch. But the boats are getting so much bigger, the requirements for big tensile strength stays have become higher. So we're going to be getting another machine in very, very soon, and be able to do all that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. Running rigging, lifelines, rigging surveys.
I think we've done rigging surveys and lifelines on your boats, Tinsley, and you've been very proactive about getting your rigging checked, getting your furling checked. You make trans-Gulf crossings. You really do sail your boats. That I've known you for quite some time, and you really do sail your boats, and you make sure they're prepared well before you embark on a mission like that.
Yeah, I remember I said something like, pretend like your wife, your sister, or your mother are going across the Gulf. Please check my boat.
You did indeed.
And then this one, commissioning and decommissioning of yachts.
We have a lot
What?
of people that buy boats in other places and have them shipped into us. We have a lot of people that sell their boats and have them shipped out. This on the screen right now is a legendary boat. It's a boat called Merlin, um, which is a Bill Lee design, and that boat raced. It was on the cover of Sail magazine not so long ago. The people's last name that own it is Merlin, and so it was kind of cool that they bought a boat named Merlin, and they've done well with it. But that was one of the bigger projects. We had to uh, decommission that boat at the port of Pensacola because it was too big to come back into Bayou Chico. It too deep to get into Bayou Chico, so we had to work with Pate Stevedores um, at the port of Pensacola uh, to go ahead and take that boat apart, take the mast down, take all the ancillary running rigging, standing rigging off of the boat, remove the keel from the boat so it was small enough, short
Wow.
enough to get under bridges, and then it was headed to California to do the Transpac race.
Okay, so they trucked it there.
Yes,
Wow. Okay. And then architectural rigging, which is good for me to know with real estate.
we've done a good bit of that. We used to do a whole lot more than we've done recently because there's been several companies that have come out lately that offer a what I would consider a low quality architectural rigging product where um, contractors or even owners can do these architectural rigging installs using quick lock fittings, which if you put them into a commercial sort of atmosphere, they wouldn't last at all.
Okay.
We use the same criteria as we use when we do standing rigging on sailboats as we do for our architectural rigging.
Okay. All right. So, what would you say you do most of?
We do most of making new rigging for sailboats,
Oh,
and
really?
we have four swedge machines. We're getting ready to get the big fifth one I was talking about earlier, and it's we make lifelines for sailboats. We did that on I think two of your boats now, where we've
Yes.
replaced the lifelines because you do a lot of offshore crossings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we do a lot of replacement rigging. Like yesterday, I was in Gulfport. We're doing a new furler and forestay on a Jeanneau 379 down there. We're doing a new uppers on a Catalina 36 over there. Here in Pensacola now, we're working on a Beneteau 473 total re-rig. These folks are getting ready to go cruise the Caribbean, and want to make sure everything's replaced. We have a Seawind 1160 coming into the yard. Probably will be here later this week from the Baton Rouge area, and he's getting ready to go sail the Caribbean for the rest of the winter and early spring before hurricane season. When he brings it back, we're replacing the rigging on his boat. So those are the kind of projects we're working on.
So, someone from Louisiana is going to wait till they get here to Pensacola to. Is there not a service over there, or
Not so much. We pretty much service the area between Houston and Tampa,
that was going to be my next question? Wow, that is a big area. Do you have
and
people in
we
different
go
areas?
further. We have customers that when they're perhaps cruising the Caribbean or in Mexico, or um, they would call us in if they have a big rigging need. They're happy to call us in. We're happy to go see them and help them figure it out.
Okay, well, if you're watching from Louisiana or Tarpon Springs or Apalachicola, Rick's your guy,
Yeah,
right?
we drive. We go to New Orleans for projects. We're on the
Wow.
Mississippi Gulf Coast, obviously the Alabama Gulf Coast, and we go as far as Tallahassee easily. We've had other people in Tampa that need our services. We go to Tampa, stay there, and obviously that's a multi-day trip. We'll go to the
Right.
Keys when folks need us there, Puerto Rico, St. John, St. Thomas, just wherever.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess people have a lot of faith in you. I'm just glad you make your trips over here to Orange Beach and Gulf Shores. Um, as the title of this video says, don't skimp on the rigging. What would you say to us sailors on how to take care of our rigging to make sure it's safe, to make sure the mast isn't going to fall down? What would you say? What do
I
you
would
say?
say the first thing I'd do is check my insurance policy and see what they had to say about how they're
Mm,
going to treat your rigging when it fails. Um,
yeah.
I've had too many instances when a person has a piece of standing rigging fail and they expect their insurance company is going to take care of it, and they've broken their mast and they've had a lot of other damage, and when they read the fine print in their policy, they figure out that they've got a high deductible. They depreciate the rigging, um,
Mm,
and its structural integrity at the same time. And if it's over, well, nowadays, if it's over 10 years old, it's been depreciated totally, and you may not see any relief on your claim. Um,
wow.
and so the insurance companies are becoming more and more aggressive about making certain they don't have mass failures and big claims because of rigging that hasn't been inspected, hasn't been replaced during a normal service interval.
So if I was to get it inspected and have that on hand, and then something happens, would that help?
Yes, it would help very much. But the best thing that could help, and certainly you cruising like you do, if you said, okay, I'm going to get ready, I'm going to go sail the Caribbean for the next 6 months. I'm going to take a little break from my real estate job and go sail the Caribbean, enjoy it for a while. Um, you would want to have your rigging replaced at that time based on the age of your boat, in my opinion. If it was less than 10 years old, you would certainly want to do that. And that would give you, once that rigging was replaced, that would give you a timestamp. So if you did have a problem, then your insurance would cover it. They depreciate 20% per year. So after 5 years, a
Wow.
lot of the rigging has no intrinsic value, just like a marine electronics.
Okay. Well, just a personal story was after Hurricane Sally, September 2020, and you looked at my rigging, and um, one of the things that persuaded me to go ahead and total the boat was, I don't know if you remember, but I think I started crying when you told me I would need to get it all replaced. I
It
got
was
all
a very
teared up on.
emotional time because that hurricane came right through there, and that was your baby. That was your other boat.
Yeah, yeah, the first salty abandon, the Island Packet 27. And, I could also tell with the insurance guy, he got an expert, like, he didn't know, what he was looking at, but he had somebody weigh in, like, uh, I don't know, maybe somebody like you. He forwarded me the email and saw that, my original chain plates were on the Island Packet. So it looked like I wasn't gonna be able to get it reinsured, so I just kind of flew the white flag and took the money and ran, and got my current boat. So it just, you're right, and the guy that was weighing in on it knew that I had them reinforced rather than the original Island Packet,
Right.
uh, and he looked down upon that, and it is very controversial in
Well,
the Island Packet
surveyors,
community.
well, surveyors can have their own opinion, but
Right.
you did what was factory correct by the builders. That's what they said to do. Bring it to, and when you had your failure, you brought it to the factory designated repair facility and had them do it. I remember when it
Well,
happened.
actually, they were guys that worked there, but they were kinda working on the side for another rigger, and they felt like they knew it well enough where they could, support him like that, do the outside, what am I trying to say? The outside supports rather than in the,
Hmm.
embedded.
Right, right, right.
And what do you think? Do you think that's sufficient, or because there's people in the Island Packet community that think that it has to be done the original way? It's a lot of, a lot of work to get in there.
It is a lot of work to get in there. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
We've had multiple Island Packet owners that have um,
I know one.
decided had decided to do external chain plates, and
Yes.
there are any number of companies that can support that. You may not get that guidance from the Island Packet community, the Island Packet gurus, but wear those. those chain plates were in the boat, it's already reinforced in those areas.
Yeah.
So if you put an external chain plate there and do it in such a way like they did decades and decades and decades ago when they had outside stainless steel chain plates, then there's no problem in that whatsoever, as I
Okay.
can see. We haven't known of we there. I don't know of any documented failures of people that did the external chain plates on the island packets.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm convinced. Um, when should you have your rigging inspected? What kind of situations should you have it inspected? Like, is there like a schedule? Like for someone like
We
me
tell
who does some hard sailing, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But certainly for folks like you that do a lot of miles a year, uh, every year, certainly. And I think it's a good idea for every year. We see people like today, we saw a boat that had ring dings going through the clevis pins. And we like to use cotter keys in the clevis pins because they're more difficult to remove. Ring
Right.
dings, you know what I'm talking about, the little
Just a
circular
little
circlip ring
like for a
dings that
key, like you would use on a key ring or something,
absolutely,
you
that's
know.
a good analogy.
Okay.
Yes, exactly like that. They can a line will snag them, they'll straighten them out, and they can fall out, and then that clevis pin's going to
Wow.
fall out after that. So we saw a boat today that just had ring dings that were getting ready to fall out of it. And I'm just like,
Oh
okay,
my.
these are all accidents waiting to happen.
Okay. I think it's time for me to have a. I just got back from that trip. I had a real rough crossing going from Tarpon Springs to Apalachicola. 30 plus knot winds, by the way. So it'd probably be good for me to have it inspected.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we inspected your boat um, when you got your new boat, the 32. We inspected it. I think you were having bird
320.
issues. Yeah, and
Bird issues. Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, we were out there. We
All
all have
right.
bird issues.
I was wanting you to put some spikes up there or something, but they've gone away for the time. So, okay, so the hurricane. Oh, you've been through many, but Hurricane Sally, September 2020. How busy were you after that storm?
We were busy. I mean, we're busy all the time. We were good and busy.
Well, are you more busier than usual?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But a lot of times we'll I mean, there's so much stuff is you can't really help the people. So we will help the folks that we can help.
I see. Well, somebody told me that there was 6,000 boats that were totaled in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Pensacola. You think that's a pretty accurate number?
I would not doubt that at all because a lot of people were caught um, ill prepared, and a lot of boats that would have normally people that I thought were very proactive, very um, competent boat owners, um, quite frankly, got caught and had a lot of damage. And
Yeah, I mean,
a good bit of that was because boats that were anchored in places they thought were safe got run over by the barges that broke loose on Pensacola Bay.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, people here didn't have their hurricane shutters up. They didn't have, double, triple lines on their boats. Nobody was really prepared. We thought it was going to Louisiana, and then we thought it was going to Mississippi, and that's why I was on
Kept
my
going
boat.
right, kept going right.
Yeah, I was just there for the storm surge to adjust lines, and then I found myself in a hurricane. So, and also going back to the Dauphin Island Regatta back in 2015,
Hmm.
which was a tragic story. And I've seen remember you were very busy after that too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Anytime we have a storm or a big weather event, and certainly when there's a big regatta going on, we have more work to do. Um, but I mean, just we stay good and steady busy all the time, regardless.
Well, that was like I was just reading up about that, and it was I never really read about the details of that, and I found an article on Smithsonian Magazine, and it talks about it being a hurricane force wind struck the bay. They swept more than 100 boaters into one of the worst sailing disasters in modern history. And it describes, like, and these are my words, three systems that came together and formed this like perfect storm, and it was pretty tragic. And
Yes,
it I don't
I remember that weekend, and it came through very fast. Um, quite frankly, um, weather was predicted for later that afternoon, or high winds were predicted for that afternoon, but it certainly exceeded the expectations of what people thought the forecast was to be.
Yeah, I think originally it was called off, and then it was back on, and so it's a lesson learned for me to read about that. It was pretty tragic. Who would have thought that something like that would happen on Mobile Bay, you know? But
Absolutely.
so let's see what else. I guess that's all the questions I have. Is there anything you'd like to tell us? Like
Um,
maybe about that boat that's behind you?
well, that's a Beneteau 60. I'm not really sitting on that boat right now,
Right.
but uh, but we could be, and you could be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
Well,
one
tell
big
us
real
about your
estate
boat.
deal.
Yeah.
Uh,
I need to sell some condos.
we have a lot of boats. Our current big boat, is a Beneteau 41. This behind me is a Beneteau 60, but the Beneteau 41 is our current boat, and it's big enough for the grandkids and the kids and everybody. And it's got real wood down below, whereas so many of the newer boats, like the one behind me, it's more of an IKEA interior. I know there's going to be people that cringe hearing that, but real wooden
That's what it
boats is a
looks
thing
like.
of the past. Indeed.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Your boat has a real wood.
Yes.
My boat has real wood, and that's
Teak.
why I like it. You have
Well,
teak. I
yes.
have I have maple.
Okay. Well, where all do you sail?
Um, now mainly around Pensacola Bay, Big Lagoon, out in the Gulf by Pensacola Bay. I like sticking close to home now.
Okay. And did you venture out in the past?
Uh, we ventured. We we've been to Australia a few times, done regattas in Australia, um,
Did you
regattas in
sail
the
from here,
Caribbean.
or
No,
did
no,
you
no,
go over there?
no. I did the smart way and flew to Sydney, Australia, and then went out from there.
Okay, so somebody there had a boat.
Yes.
Okay. How was that?
Um, it was very, very good. Very, very good. Had good experiences. We were sailing off the southern end of the Great Barrier Reef in August, and the humpback whales were in, and here we were out in a fleet of 300 some odd boats, and the humpback whales and the
Uh-oh.
calves were coming up beside us, and it was, oh no, it was very good. I mean, it was
Okay.
inspiring. I mean, it was inspiring. They were like very friendly. They come up and slap their fins, and it was very inspiring. Very cool thing.
Okay. Did you
We
win?
had we did not win. Quite frankly, we did not win. We did as good as we should have done. Um, but it was a very, very good event, very beautiful. We had 12 feet of tidal variation twice a day, which the currents were probably more of a tactical consideration than the winds were, for obvious reasons. The courses were around islands rather than around marks out on a race course, so it was very, very fun, very challenging.
Well, how long did it take?
We were there for well, I mean, we were sailing day races. We didn't just like make a long trip. We were sailing day races. We made a long trip by car, and uh, we were out every single day, and we were there for
Okay.
10 days. 10 days.
Have you sailed through the Caribbean?
I have. We
How far?
did probably from. I've been as far as St. Martin, from 2005 or six until 2013, 2014. We'd always go down and do the BVI Spring Series, St. Thomas Rolex Regatta, the Heineken Regatta in Puerto Rico. the Heineken Regatta in St. Martin. Um, I'm sure I'm forgetting
And
other events, but
you would
uh,
fly there?
we would fly to Puerto Rico, and then we have some good friends that have a boat in Puerto Rico at that time, and we would sail over from Puerto Rico to St. John, and then start whatever series was going on. But they have a
Okay.
whole series that goes through the Caribbean in the spring every year. Every year,
Okay. And your son, what is your son's name?
I have my son Jeff, and I have my son Evan.
Okay. And are they both in the business?
They are.
In okay. And he's there. Which one's with you there now?
Nobody's with me here now except Julie.
Oh, okay. Hey, Julie. And they sail too, I guess.
Oh, of course. They can. They. I made them go sailing, whether they wanted to or not.
And now they're in the business with you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
It's good working with your children.
So tell the folks, I'm going to put up your website again, how they can get in touch with you.
Send me an email, call me on the phone, um, text me. I don't have a. I think we have a Facebook presence, but I'm not sure. I told the folks that we're not going to do that, but I mean, if they wanted to do it, they could do it on their own.
Yeah, there's not a lot there. I'm looking for a phone number here. Yeah. Um, oh, well, how about you give us the phone number?
How about 850-261-4129?
850
Two,
261.
yep, 4129.
Okay. All right. And it's zernrigging.com. Well, I do appreciate you coming on. I will be calling you soon about doing an inspection.
When are you taking
And
off on your next trip?
well, this time I was gone off and on, but mostly I was gone for about 6 months. So I need to make a little money.
Understood. That's why you have a husband.
Yeah, but well, I pay for my boat, everything.
I understand. So let
I'm
me tell you this.
self-supporting.
I need to promote this. Um,
Okay.
2025, before
Uh-huh.
hurricane season, we
Yep.
are really trying to get another Cuba race put together. So for
Oh.
all your folks out there, it'll be a race from Pensacola, Florida to Havana, Cuba. We've talked with the folks in Cuba where there's some more hurdles for us to jump with the U.S. government in the way that we could be interpreted coming into Cuba. Um, but we're gonna see what we can do to get over those hurdles. And so, if for all your folks that would like, it's going to be more of a rally than a race. Want to go to Cuba with some other folks from here in the
Straight
states?
across, huh?
Yep, straight across Pensacola to
Okay.
Havana,
I would love to
and
do that. I have to take a very good mechanic with me because
there's
I
some
get
good
stuck out in
mechanics in
the
Cuba.
well, I mean, if something goes wrong in the middle of the Gulf. I need someone that can fix something, you know what I mean?
I think you're qualified.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a mechanic, but I mean, I could sail the boat, but if nothing, breaks with the rigging. But has there been any other one? I remember it was like 2015. They had it was the first time in 50 years or something like that. Has
We
there been
did
any
a
after that?
we did the Pensacola to Havana race, the St. Pete to Havana race, the Conch Republic Regatta that went from Key West to Veradero to Havana and then back to Key West. Um,
So
we
you
did it.
just did it that one year from Pensacola.
No, we did it another year. We did it 2 years from
Okay.
Pensacola, as I recall.
Okay.
Um, there have been several races down there, and we've been to Cuba 6 times. A couple of times we flew in, but just a great trip, and we're seeing what we can do to get another race scheduled to get back down there.
Okay. Well, you heard it here.
And it's going to be more
So
of a rally than a race. So all the cruisers, all those kind of folks, it's just a big gathering to go down and enjoy it.
just for the fun of it.
Absolutely.
And I do remember the problems that happened in that one from Pensacola. There was some people that lost their masts. Is that
There,
right?
it did absolutely. Absolutely. They lost their
And
mast, and as I recall, uh, when they sailed back to Pensacola, motored back to Pensacola, got on another boat, loaded
oh,
it up with all the stores, and sailed the race and did very respectably in the race after they probably lost 18 to 24 hours.
oh my gosh. Well, my first boat was in that. They turned around because it was the smallest boat, 27 feet, and nothing bad happened to it. It was just so rough that they decided to turn around and go back to Pensacola. That was right before I bought that boat. So I probably should have had the rigging checked after that, but I didn't know any better.
But we
So
did,
do
and you
you
didn't have any failures, so everything was good.
no, one more question. Do you often do when a surveyor does a survey, and some of these people don't go up the masts, right? Some of the surveyors, and do they do an independent rigging
They
survey when
should, and they should, and people would say, "Oh, Rick, you have a vested interest in saying that." Right now, we're
I'm
replacing
a
the mast.
believer.
We were replacing a mast on a Hunter 380. The boat was the owner is from the Panama City area. Um, the boat was purchased in the Tampa Bay area. He had a survey and a haul out and all that conducted on the boat. Um, he purchased the boat and left to sail to where the boat's docked in Panama City. He'd been out about 6 hours. He was in 8 to 10 knots of wind late in the afternoon, and his mast just fell down.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
the surveyor did not conduct an up the rig inspection. Um,
Yeah.
Something at the top of the mast on the forestay let go, and a clevis pin came out. It would be my supposition, and he's got a new mast coming for the boat.
Okay. Well, when I bought my current boat in Palmetto, which is just south of Tampa, um, the boat broker said these surveyors don't climb the mast, and which I was shocked, but because I just had one in Cecilia, the one that was in the second interview or the third interview, she does, but she did recommend a independent diesel inspection.
Yes,
So
that's very common. Yeah, that's very common to have a real mechanic, a diesel mechanic, come in, take oil samples, take other engine readings,
he did
and
that, yeah.
and
But
I
if
think that's
if I was gonna use somebody that didn't go up the mast, first of all, I'd try to find someone who did, but I would definitely get a rigger to come out and do an inspection, an
we
independent
do. Since
rig inspection.
insurance companies have become more proactive about um, timestamps on certain inspections and maintenance items on boats, it's uh, we do a lot more rig inspections now, and we can provide pictures for timestamps, so that supports a person, the insured's claim that okay, we didn't have a rigging problem here, based on the age of the rigging, the amount of inspections that were done to certify that it was safe.
So it may not even be an option to skip the rigging inspection for an insurance company. Is that
Exactly. I mean, people need to read the fine print. Um,
oh, yeah.
but
They may just take it they just may not be in there to a
in many
protection for that.
cases, what happens is they said, okay, we've depreciated this, but beyond its insured limits. Therefore, we're denying your claim.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have, had Cecilia do 2 addendums to my boat because I learned a lesson from the first one. I never went back and updated the insurance, and I learned a hard lesson on that. But I've increased the coverage twice since I
Good,
bought that boat. Yeah.
good, good, good,
So
good.
all
But
right,
you're
Rick.
you're you're a very proactive owner. You're a good steward to your boats. I've known you
Thank
through the
you.
Island Packet 27, now the 32, and
320. 320.
320. Thank you. Uh, you're good at what you do, Tinsley. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And with that, hold on, let me do this. Oh, I'm going slow. Salty Bannon out.